Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Today I am doing a bath time with the youngest of the new generation, the Boomlettes. The Boomlettes are also known as Generation Z. They're the newest generation and they're coming in hot. So these are the kids who were born sometime in the late 1990s and on. This generation was born with a phone in their hand and they know how to use it. You might ask me, why are you going over generations, Kristen? Well, today at our company meeting, we talked about different generations and how we can benefit from helping them and how they can benefit from us, knowing that we care about which generation you're in, as well as what you might care about in that generation. So, coolest company ever, breaking down the generations and figuring out how we can best serve you. What other company does that? Come on, I'll tell you more about the other generations.
Kristen. Kristen. Kristen.
Oh, sorry. Next is the millennial generation. But don't call them millennials. They'll get mad. Young professionals. These young professionals, also known as millennials, were born in the early 1980s up until about the 2000s. Very, very tech savvy. Very professional. Most likely not to stay at the same job. Bounce around a little bit. Like to do tons of research. And very entrepreneurial, so cool group, right? Generation X is the next generation. This generation was born somewhere between 1965 and 1980. This generation is called the latchkey kids. Most of the time they had both career-driven parents, and latchkey is like they wore their house key around their neck. Because most likely when they came home from school, they were coming home to an empty house. This generation's very street smart, but also very hard to gain their trust. Do what you say you're gonna do if you wanna earn the trust of a Generation X person. Also, Generation X grew up with the first time of potential presidents lying to them, with the news starting to get skewed a little bit. So trust is a huge factor for them. Divorce rates were high in Generation X childhood. So they feel a little misunderstood from other generations. They're known as the middle child syndrome. The baby boomers get a lot of attention, the millennials get a lot of attention, and the Gen X just feels a little bit left out. So if you know a Gen X, give them a little love today. Give them a nice compliment and give them a call. Baby boomers are the next generation. So what we're finding is that baby boomers and baby boomers and Generation X are starting to feel a little stressed out because not only are they taking care of their elderly parents, but they're also taking care of their own children. So time is very valuable for these generations. They usually have workers, husband and wife, both working in the family. This baby boomer generation was born between about 1946, 1964. It's really the first generation that started to have women in the workforce. It's also the first generation really that had women in the workforce plus child rearing. So they kind of changed the way that started. They usually had, they were the first generation that had TV. They were the first divorce generation where divorce was beginning to be somewhat acceptable at a tolerable reality. So the baby boomers were the largest of the group, and now it's the millennials, the baby boomers, babies. Next is the silent generation. These types of people were born between about 1927, 1945. Children are to be seen and not heard in this generation. This is the generation that worked extremely hard. Retirement meant you sit in your rocking chair and you enjoy your final days in peace. The silent generation went through the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Great Depression. So the silent generation definitely is frugal, knows how to save and not spend. Let's see, they're avid readers, especially newspapers. So, when we're looking to sell houses or help people buy houses, looking at these generational differences of everybody is pretty important on how we're going to market to them, as well as how we're going to text, email, call, face-to-face. So this is why it's pretty important and pretty exciting to kind of get down to the nitty-gritty about each of these generations. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you again. Happy Tuesday. Talk to you later.